Imagine waking up on an ordinary day in Toronto and finding out that two quiet moves could turn everything upside down behind the scenes for the Leafs. But no one is talking about it the right way. Two pieces, two names, one twist that could be exactly the push this team needed, or just another way for fans to carry. No spoilers here. If you're a Leafs fan, trust me, it's worth staying till the end to really understand what's happening behind closed doors. So hit that like button now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications, because this story is just getting started and you'll want to be here when the next bomb drops. And what if I told you that Mitch Marner, the kid who used to have Wendell Clark posters on his bedroom wall, who grew up in Thornhill dreaming of lifting the Stanley Cup wearing Toronto's blue jersey, might be just hours away from trading the cold of the Air Canada Centre for the heat of the desert? That's right. This rumor, which started as a whisper from Darren Dreger and Chris Johnson, exploded like dynamite in the hearts of the fan base. And it's not just any trade. It's a potential turning point or the final nail in the coffin for the most frustrated generation Toronto has ever seen. Think about it. Marner isn't just anyone. His contract says it all. 8 years with an annual average of $12 million. A superstar contract, a franchise player contract. In practice, that's exactly what he is. 27 goals and 102 points in 81 games last season. When the puck is on his stick, it's almost hypnotic. But playoffs are another story. He had 2 goals and 13 points in 13 games this year before watching the Panthers sweep the ice with Toronto's dreams in the second round. Again, the 8th painful elimination, the 7-game 7 or decisive loss since he arrived. And here comes a question that keeps pounding. What if the Leafs had gotten past Florida? What if that puck that hit the post had gone in? Maybe today Marner would be the ultimate hero, the one who finally gave Matthews and company the chance to go toe-to-toe with giants like Tampa or Vegas in a conference final. But it didn't. And here we are, watching insiders like Dreger confirm that the Leafs won't let him walk for free. They can't. Not even Trey Living, who inherited this ticking time bomb, would have the stomach for that. What fascinates me is the emotional weight of this story. Marner isn't just a number on the payroll. He's the spearhead of an era that promised so much and delivered so little. Since 2015, when he was picked 4th overall, he's racked up 741 points in 657 games, cemented his name as the 5th highest scorer in franchise history. But he also became a meme on rival fan forums. The guy who disappears in May, they say. Is that fair? Maybe. But in the end, fans want a trophy, not a stat sheet. And look at the contrast. Austin Matthews. Another phenomenon, an equally huge contract, but still untouchable. Why? Because his superstar aura still seems bigger than the playoff failures. Marner doesn't have that shield. It's almost cruel how Toronto does this. The ones you love the most hurt you the most. He's always been a local kid, the one who felt the pressure of every newspaper, every nasty headline. And now he could become the villain, or the martyr. It all depends on what comes in return. Be honest. Who would be curious to see Mitch Marner wearing that shiny golden Vegas Golden Knights jersey? The guy leaving a suffocating locker room, where it's all about pressure, to join a team that knew how to be lethal when it mattered. Don't forget, Vegas lifted the Stanley Cup with a physical, suffocating style of play, but they always lacked a creative piece in the top 6. Marner could be that playmaking wizard, the brain-feeding Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. Imagine the Knights' power play with him. That's enough to keep rival fans up at night. But, of course, all of this comes at a price. The Leafs won't just give Marner away. The chatter in the hallways is that Vegas would have to give up immediate impact players and maybe some high draft picks. And then comes the big question. Does Toronto know what to do with assets? How many times have we seen this franchise trade talent for prospects that never pan out? What if this is just another cycle of self-sabotage? Have you ever stopped to think how this splits the fan base? Some people yell, just trade him already. It's time to reset, clear the cap, give Nylander even more space to grow. Others feel like they're ripping out a piece of the team's identity. Because like it or not, Marner has always been Toronto. He's the kid who wore Leafs jerseys in the schoolyard, who carried the weight of an entire city on his back, even when Matthews vanished. I can see the scene, Marner, in a light-colored suit, stepping off the plane at McCarran Airport, the Las Vegas sun blazing as he smiles for the press. A row of reporters trying to get every detail, every sigh. Behind him, the shadow of a maple leaf that will haunt Toronto fans for a long time if he lifts the cup there. Because that's the bitterest part. What if Marner wins a championship in his first year away? What if he's the missing piece that helps Vegas repeat and leaves Toronto stuck with another almost? For some, that would be the last straw. For others, a relief. Because the cycle has to end. Enough second-round exits, enough trauma. But it's always a risk when you trade elite talent. Remember when Joe Thornton left Boston? Everyone said the Bruins were crazy. In the end, Boston figured it out. Sometimes it's the move nobody wants that finally melts the ice. And you know what? Maybe Marner won't go to Vegas. Maybe Carolina will come up with an irresistible package, a last-minute game changer. That's what makes this rumor so magnetic. It has no written ending. It's an open wound, a living story. Today, Marner is still a Leaf. Tomorrow, he might be the ghost that haunts this franchise for years to come. What if I told you that every move the Toronto Maple Leafs make right now is like playing Russian roulette with their own history? Because it's not enough that the Mitch Marner rumor is on fire. Not enough that the fan base is split between trade him now and he's untouchable. Now there's this Matias Maccelli factor entering the dance. A reinforcement that, on paper, looks like a patch, but in the heart of the most optimistic fan, might still spark a comeback. Think about it. Maccelli, the Finnish kid who had scouts dreaming when he almost won the Calder as Rookie of the Year back in 2023. He put up 49 points in 64 games with the Coyotes. Pure magic on a team almost nobody watched. Then came the blow. The franchise moved to Utah. Everything changed. Suddenly, the same kid who was hoped turned into a ghost in the press box. What happened? Seriously, how many young players think like that? Swallowed by changes they can't control. But to understand why this trade matters, you have to go back to who's pulling the strings. Trey Living knows the Marner rumor has the power to implode the locker room if he doesn't act fast. The guy who might be saying goodbye scored 102 points in the regular season. That's talent you can't just replace off the NHL shelf. So, who does he bet on? A 24-year-old playmaker with an affordable salary who could blossom again if he finds the right environment. And where would that be more challenging and more symbolic than in Toronto, where every bad pass makes headlines? I close my eyes and almost see the scene. Maccelli with a serious face, taking a breath in the tunnel of Scotiabank Arena. Lights off, blue jersey with the shining maple leaf. The camera cuts to Matthews on the bench, bouncing his leg, waiting for the puck. And what if it's a Maccelli we saw in 2023, loose, confident, distributing passes like he's got GPS on his blade? Could be. But what if doesn't win games? And if he repeats last season's 18 points, what's left? A Marner rumor becoming reality and a new disappointment ready to explode on Twitter. And what about Utah's side? For them, it's almost a relief. They free up $3.425 million on the cap, don't retain a single cent. They trade a promising talent who became a problem for a conditional third-round pick, which could turn into a second-round pick in 2029 if the kid is reborn. That's a big if, but that's how you build a quiet rebuild. Every dollar counts, especially for a team that, let's be honest, won't hit the salary cap ceiling anytime soon. You feel the drama, right? Because on the ice it seems black and white. Produce or go home. But behind it all is the human side. Maccelli didn't stop being good overnight. The guy's there, waiting for the right scenario to rise again. And where is there more pressure than Toronto? No other market builds heroes or destroys them so fast. Imagine if he scores 55, 60 points. If he becomes a playmaker feeding Matthews and gives a sigh of relief to those who will have to swallow Marner's departure. But here lies the cruelty. Even if it works, the comparison will linger like a shadow. Every point Maccelli scores will be compared to every goal Marner scores wherever he ends up. Vegas, Carolina, any franchise that pays the price. It's inevitable. It's Toronto being Toronto, the place where those who stay get crushed and those who leave become legends or nightmares. And here's the irony, the conditional pick. If Maccelli scores 51 points and the Leafs make the playoffs, the pick upgrades from third to second round. Look how much can go wrong there. The guy can explode, but the team might not make it. So what happens then? It's almost an emotional roulette. And who loses? You, the fan, who has to swallow every speculation, every insider post that makes your heart race. It's impossible not to compare this to other similar gambles. Who does remember when Toronto brought in Tyson Barrie to fix the blue line problem? Good idea on paper, disaster in practice. Same pressure, same promise of change of scenery. And in the end, another piece that never fit. Maccelli has to be everything Barrie wasn't. Adaptable, resilient, almost immune to the noise. Is that asking too much from a 24-year-old kid? Maybe it is. But that's what makes the NHL this dramatic show. Nobody cares about lukewarm trades. Everyone wants to know, what if Marner leaves and shines? What if Maccelli is a bust? And what if, in the end, Toronto proves once again it doesn't know how to rebuild? It's this cloud of doubt that keeps eyes glued to the screen, that turns rumors into backstage soap operas. And the scene stuck in my head is this. Maccelli making that impossible pass to Matthews to score on a decisive power play. The crowd going wild, the announcers shouting, and deep down a little, maybe we found the right patch? Maybe not. Because here, my friend, everything can change in one shift. One badly built line, one injury, one pick that doesn't pan out. So if I were you, I wouldn't take my eyes off this. Because this trade is just the start of a domino effect yet to fall. Marner, Maccelli, conditional picks, all part of a much bigger game. And in this game, the only certainty is that Toronto never sleeps. Subscribe here turn on notifications, and stay with me. Because next week there could be another rumor, another twist, another piece falling from a board. And when the ice really starts to crack, you'll want to have seen it all, from the first whisper to the final explosion.